We're talking immigration. And, Andrew, we've got some really crazy numbers to go over here. This new study from Center for Immigration Studies puts it at we have a foreign-born population of 51.6 million people. Put that into perspective for us. How big is that historically? How much of it has happened under Joe Biden?
That's a great question. About 15.6% of the U.S. population currently is foreign-born. And to put that into context, we think of the great wave of migration of the 1880s and 1890s. In 1890, which was the peak in the foreign-born population prior to the time that Joe Biden took office, 14.8% of the U.S. population was foreign-born. So we're talking about almost a full percentage point larger today than, back in the 1890s. Have you ever seen Godfather 2? That's how that starts. And it talks about this huge wave of population. And yet most Americans don't realize we're actually living through an experiment right now in United States history. About 5.1 million aliens have entered the United States since Joe Biden took office. That's an incomparable
Say that number again.
5.1 million people. I mean, this is a huge number. We know from a congressional resolution that was passed back in February that 3.3 million aliens at that time had been released into the United States under the Biden administration. You can add about 200 to 300,000 to that and get to about 3.5 million. And Andrew, that doesn't even count 2 million known gotaways. Those are aliens who came over the southwest border, entered the United States illegally, evaded Border Patrol, and made their way into the interior of the United States. So again, as I said before, we're basically running a test of the capacity of the United States to assimilate, let alone deal with, a massive number of brand new people in the country. And, it's incomparable.
So,
we've never seen numbers like this before.
Of course. Two questions, though, on this. This does impact the census, correct? So this will congressional appropriate putting congressional seats together. Also, federal grants, by the way. So I want to go over that, and then two, how come these numbers? We're hearing different numbers, 10 to 12 million over Biden's full term. You guys have it lower. Are you guys just being conservative? You're trying to adjust the numbers you can prove? Or what do you think that it could be as high as 10 to 12? We just don't know.
Yeah, so the numbers that the center put out were compiled by my colleagues Steve Camarada and Karen Ziegler, and they based it on the Census Bureau's American Community Survey, which really is the gold standard of numbers. Now, it's important to keep in mind also, Andrew, that in addition to people coming in, some people go out. But, I could pretty safely pin the number of people who have entered the United States illegally, either those who have been stopped and released or those who, evaded, gotaways, as we refer to them. And I could put that pretty safely at about 5.5 million people. And again, the reason that the numbers increased by 5.1 million, if we've had, 5.5 million people here illegally come in, is because some people, as I mentioned before, they leave. They'll be green card holders. They'll go back home. They'll be citizens. They'll go back to where there's a lower cost of living. So, it's important also, Andrew, to not, make the numbers larger than we can actually quantify, because at some point the numbers become so big, there's nothing that the U.S. government can do to respond to the problem. The only thing that we could do is to have a brand new amnesty, legalize everybody, and swear, just like we did back in 1986, we're never doing this again, which of course we did. So, I feel very secure in giving you the statistics, Steve and Karen. Their numbers are, pure, and, you can trust what they have to say.
All right. So to sum it all up, we have a record number of foreign-born people living in this country, thanks to Joe Biden. We have a record number of gotaways. And we have this pesky little loophole in our voting system where officials who handle our federal elections and register voters are not able to verify citizenship. And by the way, they are actively fighting the SAVE Act, which would close that loophole. Do I sum it up about right? 10 seconds here, Andrew?
That's exactly right. And you talked about congressional apportionment again. It's going to be California and New York that benefit. So come the next census, when they get more congressional seats, you'll know where they came from.
So they do get a vote even if they're not voting. That's basically what that means.